Hello guys, this is the Crispy Tiger here to talk about movies, video games, and anything in the media at the moment. And right now, it is done. It is done. This is a long time coming. I am very late, but finally, the Damsel in Distress series is finally done, and we can talk about it. And I would like to take this completely away from gender issues, and there's a lot of problems and a lot of arguments and a lot of rape threats, but that's not going to happen. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to have a calm, rational discussion about this, and I will absolutely, I have promised myself that I will finish, and I will make this video, and I will upload it, and my internet will not run like ass. So, let's start with the top 5 things I liked and agreed with Anita Sarkeesian about. That her series is done, and let's talk about the top 5 things I didn't like. We'll talk about that too, because, let's be fair, there are things that, she did get absolutely right, she nailed it on the head, and there are things she got wrong, and I think I want to be fair to both sides of that argument. So yeah, let's talk about it, because there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and hours worth of content. Number 5, Star Fox. Okay, I do have to give a little backside before I go on to this one. I'm not a Nintendo fan, and I have not played every Nintendo game. I am an Xbox 360 kid, always have been, always will be, and I'm not that old in the generation. I didn't get into serious gaming until about 6 years ago, so I am very new to the gaming scene compared to most other people who are making these arguments or who are talking about Nintendo. But so I will literally have to take Anita Sarkeesian on face value, and that really sucks. However, taking it on face value, talking about it, it was a very rational discussion about a female character that was built up to be this strong character, kicking ass and taking dinosaurs' names. But she got reduced to simply being an object of Star Fox's desire. And yeah, that kind of sucks. That really does kind of sting, actually. And it was a reasonable argument. I see why somebody could argue against it, but personally, taking her at face value, which is all I have, I agreed with her on it, and it was an interesting ideal. Number 4, Zelda. Again, I've never played a Zelda fan. I've never played a Zelda game. I'm not a Zelda fan. Not a Nintendo fan, even. So Zelda, I have to take her on face value. I thought she was completely fair. She mentioned about how, Zelda isn't useless. Now, I don't exactly agree with her solution to it. I don't think, she needs to all of a sudden be the hero of the game. You could just as easily just make her not be kidnapped. You can always have a different plot device, because there are thousands of them. Thousands of other plot devices that you can use. But they just keep, using the same thing as Anita Anita is telling me, if that is the true, is that they keep making her a damsel in distress again and again and again. I mean, she can defend herself, but she just refuses to, or it's a very weird and interesting situation. Taking her at face value, as I have to on this one, is a very interesting idea, and I think this argument was completely reasonable, rational, and I loved it. So, number 4. Number 3, Mario. This has been an ass beating that Mario has had for a long time. I've been saying this, the Nostalgia Critic has been saying this, every person who's even picked up a controller has been saying this. I told you guys I'm not a Nintendo fan. I've told you I have not played every Nintendo game out there. I'm a Mario fan, however. I've played Mario games with all of my friends, even though I don't have a Wii. I've played the main canon series on the Nintendo DS and on the Wii. I've played Mario Kart, I've played Mario Party. I really love the Mario series, so this one I actually have experience with, and I can't make an actual argument for. Yes, I've been saying this for a long time, that Princess Peach is a useless sack of shit. And she always has been, and it's ridiculous. To the point of, you can just blatantly, easily see how that could be sexist. I've been saying it for a long time. Her character needs improvement, or at least a personality. It is a sad thing with Princess Peach. So A reasonable, rational argument. I loved it when I loved and agreed with every point, every single time she brought up something that had to do with Mario. Throughout the entire series. So, props to her. Number 2. I love the argument in general. Now, even though I don't exactly agree with the argument, and I'll get into that in a second, wait a second. I love that she actually made these videos. I love that she took the time to, they're decent quality, they're well thought out, and I love that she took a chance and took the risk to make these videos. It's a very lovely thing to see somebody from a different perspective be able to take on these subjects, because we need more perspectives in the gaming media. And yeah, that's what I had to say about that. So, I love you. Yes, I love you, Nina. Thank you for doing it. Number 1, objectification. Anytime she mentioned the objectification of women in gaming is when I agreed with her. I don't think there's a lot to talk about in terms of the tropes, and I'll talk about that later on. But in terms of objectification of women, that I think is the true enemy of women in general in media and in gaming right now, is the objectification of women and how women are treated. I think that's the way, it all depends on how women are portrayed in the video games. And I think that's the true enemy of it. That's what needs to be focused on more, and I would have loved to see that be a bigger argument in her case. That is the thing that I mostly agreed with her about. So yeah, that's why that's number 1. You guys have been waiting for it? I saved it for the last. I will talk about it now. The top 5 things that I did not like or just disagreed with her in her argument. I know most of you guys do just want to hear that one. You guys don't like Anita, or you don't agree with her argument. And that's fine and fair. And that's why I'm going to give you guys your argument. I'll please both sides, if I say, because, pleasing both sides will probably get me hated by both sides in the first place anyways. So, who gives a shit? But let's do this. Number 5. Comedy at the expense of the person. Now, here's where I disagreed with her. This is one of my really big disagreements. Is that comedy at the expense of the other person is still sexist if it's at the expense of the actual damsel. If it's at the expense of the damsel, it's sexist. If it's not at the expense of the damsel, but instead of the main male protagonist, then it is all of a sudden, it's not sexist. And I completely disagree with her, mostly because, what people have to realize is that Anita is obviously not a game writer. She does not write indie games. She does not write, she does not really, she didn't take a literacy class in terms of how to write film. And if she did, she would understand why this doesn't make sense. And why this doesn't make sense is, really, to explain like this, I'll give you guys a great example. A white guy gives a black man a watermelon. The black man takes a bite of the watermelon and spits it out. It's the worst, most disgusting thing he has ever eaten. Now let's analyze that joke for a second. Who's that at the expense of? That's the expense of the person, and what it's making fun of? It is making fun of the trope and the ridiculousness, or the stereotype, for that fact of the matter, that black men like watermelon. Now, let's make it at the expense of the white guy. A white guy gives the watermelon to a black guy, and the black guy throws the goddamn watermelon in his freaking face for giving him watermelon. This would be at the expense of the white guy. Now, neither of them are racist. They are making fun of a racist trope. A despicable and disgusting racist trope. That's the best way to explain that is, it all depends on how you view people, really. And how, if you viewed it as one of them were racist or were meant to be in that racist way instead of making fun of racism, well then I can't help you there. And this is very much a opinion or a look at it. So yeah, Not everybody's going to agree with me on that one. You'll totally be in the rational and in the right to disagree with me on that one, but that's number 5. Number 4. If you have a strong female character, it's okay to have a fragile one. What Anita said, basically, in part 3 of her series, is that if you have a strong female character, it's not okay to have a fragile one. Even if you have a strong female character, having a fragile one is still sexist. Even though she also says in the exact same video that we can have in a video beforehand that we can have fragile, more, for lack of a better word, feminine female characters. And I just don't agree with her on this one. I feel like you can have both of them. I feel like you can have all. I feel like the greatest thing about writing characters is that there should be variety. There should be variety of personalities and variety of people. Not all women are strong. Not all men are strong. Not all women are the biggest and best. Not all men are the biggest and best. Some men are assholes. Some women are assholes. Some women are just plain stupid. And some men are fucking retarded. It's just life. There should be variety in women. There should be variety in men in gaming. There's a big problem that I and many gamers have had in the gaming community, that we just don't have variety in men, in male heroes and male characters in general. And this rule applies to women at the same time. We don't have enough different types of women and variety in gaming. And there's a reason for that, and I'll get to that in a second. We'll talk about that, but yeah, that's why that's number 4. It's okay to have a fragile female character, in my opinion. Number 3, the women in the refrigerator trope. Yeah, this is gonna be hard to talk about. Basically, what Anita said in her argument is that in terms of a female character getting killed off, if it's done just to help support a male protagonist's character development, it's sexist. And not only has she said that, she also added salt to another wound that has made this a very hard to talk about topic, which is it also leads to the idea of spouse abuse and the beating of women. This is a very hard to talk about topic. It's a very hard to talk about topic for a lot of reasons. Because it's not even like I don't agree with her on the women in the refrigerator trope in the first place, but she also added like that type of severity to the subject, and now it's making it very hard to talk about with those consequences. So I'm gonna make it very simple. Same reason I don't agree with her on this one is the same reason why I don't agree with violence in video games, leading to real violent tragedies like the Columbine shootings and like other stuff. I believe that for 2 reasons. One, in terms of talking just the real life consequences, if they were already psychopaths, they were already assholes. The video game didn't attribute to that at all. If they were willing to shoot up a school, they were already crazy. If he was willing to beat a woman because she didn't do whatever blank reason, he's already an asshole. He's already a sexist, misogynistic douchebag. I don't think that this is something new. This is something that is necessarily different. I don't think it should be attributed. And the other reason is that there's no research or evidence to support her claim. I would have loved to see some research on this one, okay, these are for every violent case in domestic abuse. I wanted to see like how many of those people had video games in their house, how many of those video games were violent in their house. And then on top of that, what violent video games did they have in their house? Like, go deep into depth if you're going to tell me, the person who you would really have to consider and really have to try to convince of this. I would love to have some evidence, but there's really no evidence on that topic. She just kind of says it leads to women beating, and that's just I just can't go there. I can't agree with you on this one. It's a very hard to agree with topic without any evidence. So yeah, it's sad. On the actual trope note, it's also not sexist. Just because a female character is killed off, does not make it sexist, at all. If my sister dies, you know, it's not sexist. The main character is our focus, so it would only be natural that the people around him in a video game that is violent would die. I mean, to say like we can't kill off any female characters, but we can kill as many men as possible. It's just kind of crazy to me. But yeah, that's my problem with the woman in the refrigerator trope. As a writer, I usually write from a male perspective. I like to make my main characters male because it's easier for me to make the character relatable when I can put myself in his shoes. Of course, I can also do it as women, but it's just easier for me to do it as men. I like doing it as men. I like male characters and making male characters. As much as I do like making female characters, and it's just I make characters in a specific way because, believe it or not, I'm an indie game writer, and yeah, it's easier for me to tap into writing when I'm writing the male character or main character as me and taking my perspective. Yeah, so it's not sexist. Most writers do what I do, is that we write in the perspective of our own. Therefore, it would only make sense that, you know, when we pick to kill people off in our video games, it would be the people around us, and a lot of times we have women in our lives, believe it or not. So, yeah, not sexist. That took a long time to talk about. But that was very dense, a very large thing to talk about, and get that in. So, number 2. What I didn't like in her series was her lack of solutions in the last video. You have this third part, you've been talking to me for an hour about, and blowing smoke up my ass about all of these problems and all of these issues in gaming, and you've offered no solutions besides don't do it, and that just doesn't cut it. You can't just tell me, well, don't do it. It just doesn't work. You also said we could add more women main characters, but then you said this wouldn't fix the problem. So at that point, you just axed off the one other solution that I could have given you credit for. And there's just no solutions. I think the closest we got was some shameless marketing for somebody else's stuff. And that was it. I was very disappointed in the ending as someone who really did like the series, despite my large, huge, gigantuous disagreements about it. Yeah, I was very disappointed in the ending and what they had left, which was no solutions whatsoever in this 3-part series. So, yeah, that was kind of sad. I didn't like the lack of solutions, and yeah, that was it. Number 1, the damsel in distress trope is not sexist. Yeah, that's the big one. The motherload. The thing that you would think would break this series for me. I don't think the damsel in distress trope is sexist at all. I think it all depends on how you portray that woman, and how you think of woman in general in order for it to be sexist. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't even want to say, yeah, I'll go as far as say that. Most men don't think women are useless or trash. We don't think they are imbeciles. And not to mention, it's always the villain disempowering woman, and those are the assholes, are the people disempowering women, despite having to be saved by a male character. I understand why that would tick people off, but again, I just don't see it as sexist, because think about it like this: who's playing games? A giant amount of them are men. They're male people who play these video games, a decent majority of them. So if a decent majority of men are playing the game, it would only make sense that our heroes are men playing the game. And it would only make sense that the supporting characters would involve people in their lives, and those people in their lives of that main character will sometimes be women. They'll sometimes be our wives. They'll sometimes be our sisters, our mothers. It only makes sense. And sometimes, what like you got to think about what would motivate somebody to go on an adventure and go on this journey. And there's nothing more motivating than having my wife be kidnapped. There's nothing more motivating than my sister about to get hurt. There's nothing more motivating than my mother being disempowered by this big, gigantic asshole. There's nothing more. There's nothing more that could convince me of it, really. It's not the almighty man coming to save the useless princess. It's I love it when it's love stories, or when it's really, just being a good person. I don't think it attributes to sexism, depending on how it's portrayed. When it's something like a 14 video game series and that character is just so useless, and that's when it puts a bad mark on women. That's when you've gotten to the point where you have no return. But again, there's plenty of examples of places where I just don't agree with the damsel in distress trope being sexist. A lot of the indie games she brought up, I didn't think they were sexist. A lot of the things that she also brought up was she showed two pictures, a man and a woman, both of them needing rescue, both of them needing my help. And she was like, "What do you see?" And I see a man who needs my help, and I see a woman who needs my help. And she was like, "And guess what? That woman thing is sexist because you're not viewing that woman as a normal human being. You're viewing that woman as an object." And I was like, "No, that doesn't attribute to me personally." Now, I understand why this exists, because we do have sexist men in our industry. We are probably arguably one of the most sexist industries out there. We're very xenophobic when it comes to new people coming in. But if we really wanted solutions to this problem, because guess what? I'll solve number 2 right now. I do have some solutions. The real solution and the real thing that we need to do if we want more people if we want more different types of heroes, the greatest thing that we can do is add variety. Variety. We need to add more people into gaming. If you add more women in gaming, you'll see more women characters. You'll see more women. You'll see more women heroes. If you add more women in gaming, if you add more men in gaming, or of course you'll have more male characters. It all depends on who's the majority, who's the minority. If you add more black people in the gaming, you're gonna see more black characters and more black anything. That's the idea. All you got to do is add more demographics in it. And you'll be there. I mean, granted, Asia, Japan's not a good argument for that, to be fair. All of the Japanese, a lot of the Japanese games don't feature Japanese-looking people. They're always white. But besides the point, if you add more variety in gaming, my assumption, and my own reasonable assumption, would be you would have more people from different walks of life and different types of characters. And really, that's the idea. That's the thing. All we need are different types of characters to solve these situations. And that's my opinion. So, this has been a nice, long video. There's a lot to talk about. I really tried to get through this without making sure it would take too long for my internet to load all this stuff. But yeah, it's been a fun video. There's so much to talk about. I can't wait to see the comments and see what people really think about this. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. I really would love to hear you guys' opinion. What you guys think about it. And yeah, that's it. Like, favorite, subscribe, share us on Facebook and Twitter. Donate if you want to see me in game commentary. I would love your donations. It would help so much. And don't forget to follow me at Twitter. Yeah, thank you guys. Love ya.